Okay, this is a floppy yesterday, so hopefully it isn't a flop today. But we shall see. Mm, I'll give it 2 minutes this time to see if anybody shows up. If not, I gotta go. But yeah. And we just do the waiting game. Not me singing like that. See, this is why I need to actually go out of my way to make reminders or schedule something because nobody shows up if you don't schedule anything. Oh, I hope nobody heard that. We're 1 minute in and it's giving nothing. Maybe. Hello. Oh, there's one person. Yay. Hi, Sirens 45. How are you? I'll be sitting in silence, please. Ooh, now my hand's being ashy. I'm up to nothing. I just wanted to get on live and talk to everybody because I miss talking to y'all, but it's giving nobody is showing up because I don't ever schedule my lives, which I probably should. That'd probably be better so people know. But I like to be random. What's that one Selena Gomez meme where she has the little blue stripe in her and the person was like, yeah, oh, why'd you dye your hair? And she's like, yeah, I had to get a little blue in my hair, a little bop for the Teen Choice Awards. I feel like that's me. Sometimes I feel like I'm doing something, but then I'm like, okay, girl, nobody's going to show up if you don't tell anybody anything. Sirens, ooh, do you have any topics you would like to talk about since you're the only person here currently? I'm dead. Okay, we have two people. Yeah, I'm dead. Not your phone usually being dead. Yes, you're right on time. What photo? Like the photo of the live? Oh, okay. I didn't realize that the live had a green. Interesting. It's using my banner photo as the photo for the live. Okay, that's cool. Yes, I took that picture a long time ago. So, thanks. I'm glad you loved the photo. But anyways, does anybody have anything they want to talk about? I don't have anything I wanted to talk about. I just want to get on live. I'm not doing anything. I just okay, I was doing other things. I was watching just a lot of videos with the leftist and commentary community, and I was just like, it's all listen, I don't know. And how's your lunch? Hope your lunch is tasty. But yeah, I guess I can stop being boring. Okay, so oh, you guys know I have not a long history, but I've talked about how certain leftist content creators or some of the more left-leaning content creators like Smoky Glow just end up irritating me in the end because Yeah, it's really not hard to side like, so I don't know if you guys know, there's a more like recent leftist channel that's come around. Who is playing music downstairs that loud? My God. Anyways. Ooh, that sounds good. A chickpea stew? Period. I know it tastes good too. Love that for you. Um, but yeah, it's hard not to sidelight these leftists because I was watching a new leftist YouTuber. His name is Noah. I'm pretty sure he identifies as he him. Um, I'll just should I say they? No, I'm pretty sure he said he. Okay, anyways, but he was basically talking about all like these new leftist content creators, and then he brought up Vosh, and I was like, oh my God. And he said how much he likes Vosh, and I'm like, Vosh, the same man who has no issues like weaponizing his credentials and his degree to like talk down on black people. Like it just I I feel like most of them have good intentions, but just not good execution of those words. And that's the thing, right? I give a lot of people a lot of benefit of the doubt because I think it's really important to give people the benefit of the doubt because I feel like sometimes we're coming, you know, especially when we're starting from a place of trying to address so many different social issues. I feel like sometimes, especially because of the ways conservatives move on the internet and other right wing people, there's kind of like a defensiveness to start off with where we like, I don't know, where we like come to the conversation ready to like drag people rather than like viewing them as like coming in with honest intentions. But at the same time, I'm like, there's just so many times where I look at these leftist creators and I'm like, you're having these conversations and like the conversations aren't adding up. Like, so I just got done. What was the video called by Smokey Glow? It was her. Let's discuss the return of Shane Dawson video. And I was just sitting here and I was like, okay, you're discussing the return of Shane Dawson. You're talking about accountability culture. And she, some along the line, she said, like, when there's so many people who, when we're talking about cancel culture, there's a lot of people who will come in the midst of the cancel culture like scenario to just be mean and nasty and vicious and degrade other people. And then that kind of obscures the people who have like really good critiques. But I'm like, yeah, on one level that's true, but on the other level it's like even the people who have good intentions, like they still oftentimes lack the kinds of deeper thought when it comes to like assessing the situations. And it's just like I wish that that's just that YouTubers, I don't know. I guess I'm expecting a lot from YouTubers. Like I just if you're making commentary, I feel like part of the reason I take so much time before I make my commentary videos is because I don't want to be out here just like saying anything, right? Like I want it to be good, right? I want the work to be like something that I can look back on 2 to 3 months from now and know that like what I'm still saying is fundamentally right, right? Like I like to rewatch my videos a lot because there's a lot of times where I just feel like there's some ways I worded things that aren't correct. And so I like to watch my videos to learn for myself. Like in my last video, I had talked about when I was talking about James Charles and sex offense and digital eugenics and abolition, all that kind of stuff. Like, I think there was some point in the video where I was like, where I talked about how like 10%, like 10 to 13% of people reoffend after being convicted of a sex crime, something like that. And I said and I said like that's nothing, and it's like no, that's actually a lot of people, right? Like 10% is still a fair amount of people, but like if we're comparing it to other crime statistics and the ways in which people are looking at people who commit sex offense as the the kind of like irredeemable category, like actually, like based off of those stats, like these are the people who are most likely to change. And so I think about things like that where it's like, that could have been worded better. Like you worked on this video for how many months and you still like did not get it together. Like, so it's things like that where like I want to be very cautious about the ideas I put forward and like how I show up with those ideas. And it's like, I feel like a lot of leftists and commentary channels just aren't doing that. You remember this? Yes. Okay. See, and I'm not, and y'all peep it too, like when I make my mistakes. And so, like, you know, I needed some of y'all to drag me a little and be like, you could have worded that better. Because I don't know, there's just sometimes where I'm like, oh, no, like, there's ways to like state things that are bringing in the nuance that needs to be had, but like, that actually is like going a step above where we are currently in the discourse. But, anyways, so I was also like, part of the reason this has been on my mind is because like I don't know if you guys saw the Vosh and Professor Flowers whole debacle, but it was just so weird seeing this white man who claims to be against racism, all that kind of stuff, weaponize his degree to talk down to Professor Flowers as if we couldn't see how that would be like a racist thing to do, like how white people will weaponize the degrees and the credentials to essentially put black people in their place and other like marginalized communities in their place. It's like, it's just bizarre to me. And it's like, I'm looking at all these leftist content creators and it's like, y'all don't see how y'all perpetuate the same things. And then this gets me to another point. I guess I did have something to talk about today. And all this will be coming together in a video. I just don't know how to pull together every single thing I want to say into like a concise video because I don't want to film another hour-long video. I want this to be like a 30-minute video, and I'm pretty sure y'all want this to be a 30-minute video in the future because those long videos, they really tax people. But anyways, I was thinking about like, okay, right, there's a lot of leftists. Yeah. And it's like, I'm looking at Vosh and I'm like, Vosh, like, you have all these people who look to you, who go up for you, who use you as like the kind of pinnacle of like showing up for leftist policy, like showing up for leftist ideas, right? And then like you're not showing up in a way that like, here's what it is, right? There is a qualitative difference in the way that in the ways that which people become leftists, right? If you become a leftist because you are trying to decolonize, trying to address racism, being anti-racist, right? Trying to address, fat phobia, all those kind of things, the ways in which your leftism shows up is really different than people who only care about class solidarity. And that's something I've seen consistently. And I don't know if you guys see that too. Maybe I need to do a little bit more digging on that. But like, there's just a difference. Like, I find that if you start from a place where you're addressing those things, the kind of economic and class solidarity things follow rather quickly. Because if you understand that the racialization of Black people, of Indigenous people, of a variety of other different a variety of other marginalized communities, like if you understand that capitalism necessitates those things in order to keep these kinds of hierarchies and mechanisms going that keep capital alive, then you understand that now to be an anti-racist, to be against fat phobia, right, to do all these kind of things, you have to be pulling on those threads of anti-capitalism, of dismantling all these things. What I find is if you start from a class solidarity point, you kind of overlook all of those things or don't consider them as valuable. And you kind of think of them as something that is that it's something that should be addressed, but it isn't something that is instrumental in creating a different kind of world, an anti-capitalist world, and you know what I mean? I hope I'm explaining that well. But it's just, and I noticed that from a lot of these content creators who like center, you know, that we're obligated to agree with them on, and that too, right? Like it's like why are you coming on here and telling like Black and Indigenous and other POCs and queer people and all that kind of how to feel about the things that you said, right? Let me put it into context of me. I have been around enough white leftists to see the ways in which they act, and I've had numerous occasions where white leftists will say and have, and then we'll run back and be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Niles. It's not like offensive. Like, it's just like me and like where I was born and raised. And it's like, you're saying the N word and you're purporting to espouse leftist beliefs and anti-racist beliefs. Like, it's not adding up. It's not adding up, especially when it comes to how they talk about BLM, pride. Leftists look bad, as if they stand for leftism. Yeah. And it's just like it's just not good. It's just not good. And it's like, and this is why why on my channel at one point I wanted my channel to look more like me talking about class politics, me focusing on kind of uniting class solidarity. But then I realized really quickly that like the only way you get to class solidarity is if you address all the things that a lot of white leftists don't want to talk about, like the ways in which they still uphold white supremacy, even though they claim to be against it, like the ways in which they uphold all those kind of things, all these kind of like colonizer beliefs, all these kind of things that like just don't sit right with a movement like communist and socialist movements that are trying to get us away from these hierarchical ways of thinking and existing. It's just not sitting right with me. But yeah. And the white leftist who was saying the N-word, he's not like a prominent person or anything like that. Or do they identify as they? I don't know. But it's just like it gets back to the reality that like white people really only white leftists especially tap into their whiteness and the privilege it affords them, even though they claim to be against those systems. And it's just like, we're going to have to do some digger deeping here, like digger deeping. We're going to have to dig deeper here because you're still holding on to ways of being that tell me that you're not really ready to let go of these structures and systems. And so like, yeah. I think the other thing too is like a lot of white leftists, especially, love to talk about theory. Like this is one of my major gripes with ContraPoints is like, you know, so many people flock to ContraPoints. Can we talk about Envy? Have y'all watched Envy? I know that video was long as all hell. I suffered through watching that whole video. It was I'm gonna wait for one of y'all to comment if you've watched it or not. No, because I was watching it. What did I tweet? I know I tweeted something. Hold on. Let me find my tweet. Because I finished watching that video and I was like, everybody was like, yes, Contra. Yes, you really ate that. Yes, you called me out so hard. And I'm like, I'm looking at the video and I'm like, did she eat that? Did she really do that? Let me find the tweet. Let me find the tweet. Okay. I said the nuke at ContraPoints video is not given what y'all said it's supposed to have gave. I think sometimes y'all are getting blinded by the entertainment factor, e.g. the video, the visuals, and the pleasure in standing rather than engaging with the ideas she presents. And like I still stand by that because the way ContraPoint shows up, it's not working. And the thing about leftist YouTube is like, I feel like sometimes leftist YouTube wants to stay in the theoretical bubble while forgetting that like we don't have forever to mount a revolution against the systems that are going to kill us, right? Like we can't continuously keep pretending like we can just theorize all this stuff all day and like while our topsoil is disappearing, while the oceans are getting destroyed, while land is eroding, while floods are increasing, while the people on the brink of the most harm continue to just receive the most harm. Like it's not adding up. It's not adding up. And it's like, Noah, see, oh, you know what? I'm gonna get a streaming software, I think one of these days, so I can like if you watch For Harriet, you know how she like pulls together all her screens and does all these kind of things. I want to do something like that because, yeah. But anyways, let me pull up the video. What did Noah say? Hold on. Sorry, y'all. This is what happens when you don't know what you want to talk about until you start talking. A mess. The video I'm going to be referencing. Oh my God. YouTube, please be quiet. Please. I'm begging you. Oh, okay. Is from Noah Samson. And it's the video called Leftist YouTube is Evolving. But what did it say? He said somewhere in this. Let me scroll. Not me flopping.
McGruber, in prison? Do you consider yourself
uploads a response to you debating people onto his stream? I actually found it is always lying to you. How majority positive and promote leftist ideas. Bosch is good, actually. If you cancel me for that, that's anti-gamer discrimination. The last live stream went his content as well. Hey guys, quick editor's note. Since recording this, never actually went back on her white supremacist views.
Okay, I can't find exactly where he said it, but he basically said that like, now I've already lost my train of thought. Real flop girl shit. What did he say? Oh, it was something along the lines of like, you know, leftist YouTubers don't sign up to be revolutionary or whatever, right? And while that is true, while you don't need to be a revolutionary person to be a leftist YouTuber, I think it's also like incumbent upon us to recognize the fact that like if we are espousing anti-capitalist positions, if we are taking on anti-racist and decolonial positions, right? Like if we are choosing to oppose dominant culture, right? Inherently, that kind of stuff is revolutionary. So I get that we may not behave in the most revolutionary ways, but we certainly do have a responsibility as content creators to recognize like, okay, the ideas I'm espousing, if we're going to be honest, need to start coming to fruition in the dominant culture in the next like 10-ish years if we want to avert the disasters that are happening, not only in terms of global warming, but also in terms of the exploitation of people in the global south. Like it isn't sitting right with me. Like I understand that we're not all signing up to be revolutionaries, but at the same point, like we kind of are, right? Like we're trying to avert the disasters that are coming. So like it's pretty important that the things that we say and do are not just like surface level shit, are not always just in and here's another thing. this is why this leftist video, I was planning to like type it up real quick, and then I realized like, oh wait, I have a lot of thoughts. So this is a good practice for getting it out. Um, you know, the other thing is like, I noticed that so many white leftists read white leftist literature, right? Read stuff written by white people as their predominant introduction into leftist ideas. And I don't think that's bad, but like also we can't deny, right, Karl Marx's anti-Semitism and his lack of analysis when it came to the racialized and gendered realities of capitalism. Like, we can't deny how so many of these white leftists who are reading these white leftist books are missing out on the kinds of perspectives and ideas that are only found if you read black leftists. So it's just not sitting right in my soul. It's just not sitting right in my soul. Like, I just feel like the leftist community, TM, they're just not getting to the place we need to be if we're trying to change and avert disaster in the next less than a decade we have left, right? Like, we don't have forever to like change all of this, right? And it's like, it's so bizarre for me to see so many people like walk around as if we have all the time in the world when it's very much so clear that like we're running out of time. And I don't say that to be like Armageddon-y or like make people panic, but well, we should all be panicking. But I don't say that as like something to demotivate people. I say that as like, okay, like we know what we need to get done and when, and like this is not a deadline we can keep pushing back. And so the ways in which we show up in these spaces has to be more than what it is now. And it's like and people just aren't getting there. And it's like, I don't know how people aren't seeing like this isn't really going to do what we need it to do, especially when we know that right-wing content and a lot of these YouTube channels and that kind of stuff, especially when we know that their content is oftentimes reaching more people than leftist content is. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's a lot. It's just a lot. And I feel like we're just not getting to the place we need to be in these kind of discussions to like really get to a place where people can just like live a good life. Most white leftists, especially straight males. And like that's the thing, right? They're viewing these things as theory and not like the realities of so many people, right? The other day I went through and I Google searched, or not Google search, but I went through Twitter and I went through YouTube to see, because Hassan and a lot of these debate bro streamers, right? A lot of them post their clips onto YouTube. A lot of them post their like thoughts onto Twitter. So I went there and I like typed in, okay, has any of them talked about Stop Line 3? So I typed in Hassan Abi. Is that what I typed in? Is that his name on here? Anyways, whatever. But I typed in Hassan Piker. Yes, I'm confusing people. Hassan Piker, and then I typed in Stop Line 3. Nothing came up. I went to his Twitter, typed that in. Nothing really came up from him. I went to a bunch of these YouTubers, who are making this content, this quote unquote leftist content, and I like looked and I was like, are you all even talking about like some of the most pressing stuff that is going to have direct impacts on everybody in this country, like in the next couple of years, because we know, oil pipelines leak all the time and contaminate water and pollute water? And the answer is no. Like, no one is talking about those things. And not only one is this erasing the indigenous people who are trying to fight to protect their lands and the lands in which we all occupy if you live in the, Americas, right? But also you're ignoring like the very real struggles of these people while spending all your time talking about theory and debating conservatives. And it's like, what is a more like, I think protecting the water and showing up for them and centering those voices is probably more important than you trying to talk about theory that you don't even know what you're talking about. And we can get on Hassan right now. I am so sick of people acting like Hassan. There was a comment. I love screenshotting. I really do. It is one of my favorite pastimes because even though my screenshot sections are a disaster because of how many things it's on my computer. Let me pull it up. What did this person say? Oh, this is what Noah Samson said. And if they're never postured themselves as revolutionaries, then why should they be held to that standard? And it's like they should be held to that standard because we're running out of time. Like that's really what the crux of the issue. I get that we don't all want to be revolutionaries. I don't want to die. I don't want other people to die. We all understand what happens in revolutions. Absolutely. But we are running out of time to fix all the harms that are going on in the world to make the world a better place. We are. And it's like, I get it. I truly get it. But it is incumbent upon us with people who have gone to school, who know these things, to push against systems as hard as we can and get as many people behind us and not sugarcoat a bunch of stuff and try to like lead people into delusion. Like it is incumbent upon us to do better, to fight for stuff that needs to be fought for now. It can't wait another decade, right? Like, but that's a different conversation. But let me pull up the other screenshot. So somebody said, Vosh fan here too. I think the criticism is fair, but it's super frustrating how he gets shit on by the left most exclusively when he's one of the few people like Hassan who's good at explaining things in a way that normies and conservatives can understand. And it's like, but he's not good at explaining things. He couldn't even explain alienation correctly. Right? Like I literally watched that clip of him trying to explain alienation and it was so off the mark. Like half the time these white male leftists don't even know what they're talking about because they're spending all day streaming instead of putting their head into a book and actually reading and understanding things before they espouse things to their audience, before they reproduce something to their audience. And I think that this is why leftist discourse is the way that it is. It's so like, it's just so jumbled and like, it's such a mess. It's such a mess because the people who are like running to these people as like the arbiters of leftism, right, end up not even knowing what the hell they're talking about. And it's just like, and this is and these are all the people who get stand and all the fans start coming out and being like, well, y'all all are so mean to Vosh and y'all are so mean to Hassan and we shouldn't. And you all should leave Hassan alone. And it's like, oh, that's another conversation. Let me read this comment. So many people are openly radicalized these days, and there's no better time than now to fight for issues. Exactly. Like, I understand, right, that white leftists on this platform do not want to alienate their white audiences. One, because they make the money, but two, because they want more people to be captured in the net of leftism. But we also have to be very real that because they put those things on the back burner, that way too many white people feel comfortable talking down to people of color, gender nonconforming people, disabled people, fat people. And it's like, do y'all not see how you're reproducing nonsense? The other thing I was going to talk about is how Hassan... When Hassan got his new house, he got basically a mansion. It was like what, $2 million, something like that, which honestly isn't a lot. Like the square footage and the price alone makes sense for California, right? If you were in a different part of the country, like you would, especially like towards the South, you'd be paying like probably less than $1 million for that. So, you know, I personally did not care too much about Hassan getting that new home. It wasn't like all that, right? Like it's not like a 10,000 square foot home. Like it's a home that if you live in like a suburban community, right, a more white Anglo-Saxon rich community, like it makes sense. But you know, the thing I found so alarming is that there was this, let me find it. I think I put it in my favorites. I really need Apple to update their photo system because I need this to be better. But yeah, there is this photo. Oh, don't let this fall. Where someone had said Afghanistan if Hassan didn't buy a house. And then Hassan retweeted it. And I'm like, okay, what a lot of leftist creators were saying, right? What a lot of leftist people were saying was that if you are claiming to espouse these leftist ideas, right? Where do we draw the line in hypocrisy? We're all going to be hypocrites in we're all going to be hypocrites when we live under capitalism. Absolutely. I'm not going to fault people for wanting to get the one piece of equity, right? That the one piece of kind of ownership, right? That in America protects you a lot of the time, which is home ownership. I'm not going to fault Hassan for that. But I think there has to be a real conversation about when do we start to draw that line between people kind of just doing the normal things and then they start to jump into engaging with dominant culture and kind of like leaving those leftist ideas to the wayside. Also, you retweeting something about like it was, I don't even think offensive is the right word. It was so bizarre to me to see Hassan retweet that because I was like, Hassan, right? If you understand the amount of decades that people in Afghanistan have not only been in so much instability and struggle, but then also were cramming themselves onto a plane just to leave Afghanistan because of all the instability and all of the terrorist groups that we ended up creating when we went there. I'm looking at the United States. Yes, we did create the Taliban. Like that is not an appropriate thing to retweet. That is not appropriate. Like, anyways, they're not my favorite whatsoever, but I'll always like Hassan. Yeah, I definitely like Hassan more than I like Vosh. Like, the fact that Hassan has not been filmed on camera saying kind of tells me all I need to know. Kind of tells me all I need to know. Like, and I know Vosh apologized for saying the N word, but at the same time, it's like you didn't have a thought in your mind before you said it that, this probably is not right. So I'm just going to leave that alone. But this also gets to like debater bro culture where it's like so much of, I think a lot of times what a lot of these debater bros don't even realize is they kind of are reproducing the kinds of hegemonic masculinity that exist in our society today. Like they have no issues engaging in the same kinds of toxic masculine ideas that lead to people talking down to other people. Hence why Vosh feels so confident talking down to especially Black women who come on his platform. So I just, that's why I can't mess with the debate gamer bro whatever people, live streamer people, because it's like there's just consistently this like layer of like toxicity, and it's like their fan bases are so toxic. Like I remember when Angie Speaks, I don't really like Angie Speaks. I think that a lot of times she says things that I'm like, okay girl, like we need to really check in. We do. But, she says a lot of wrong things. Oh my God. Anyways, I don't like Angie Speaks, right? But when she does and says stuff wrong, like people feel especially like fine to unleash the misogynoir at her. And these are the same people who will be following Hassan and Vihash. And it's like, I think the culture you're promoting is not necessarily good for protecting POC leftists. I don't know. But that's just my thing. And, I know Hassan, he's Turkish. I feel like that's right. Let me correct myself now. Let me make sure. Let me make sure. Yeah, he's Turkish. Yeah, so like, yeah, that's where I'll leave that. Is there anything else I had to say? I think that's what I have to say mostly on the leftist right now. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to make a video like compiling everything I said, but like make it stream together, make it put together, because I think that that's something that needs to be addressed because it's just not making sense. It's truly not making sense, the kinds of ways in which leftism is going. And that's why I found like ContraPoint's video on envy so like annoying, because it's like, okay, Contra, envy is the reason why the left will eat itself. Envy is going to be the issue, really, Contra, not the fact that the ways in which y'all show up promote so much nonsense that makes the whole point of leftist politic just like fall flat. I don't know. I don't know. Because what did Contra say at the end? Let me look that up. Let me see. And also, I like the thing about Contra is like, why are you always referencing white old men? Like, it's not that they're right, the ideas that they put forward aren't, can't be good, but it's like I feel like that's part of the reason why she doesn't see like the ways in which she shows up that just don't make sense, because it's like you're spending all your time listening to the philosophy of white old men rather than like listening to the different kinds of philosophies that indigenous people, black people, right, like anyways, let me find Contra's video and let me scroll to the end because I can't believe I have watched 2 hours of this video. It was sick. It was sick.
People actually spend their time doing here. It's abuse and tender sensuality is what you want. Then just say that. Is that what you want, Pikachu? Envying Andrea Dworkin. Is that really what we've sunk to around here? I've been noticing the poison creeping into my mind lately. I know this isn't very original, but I had a bad year. I fell in love with I stopped saying yes to life. And games of all time. It's because I'm gay. That incel tier brain poisoning. And you really can use political theorizing as an excuse not to fix your life. Society did this to me. A transphobic.
Like even that, like even just that statement, like you can really use political theorizing not to fix your life. And it's like, well, you can't really fix your life if the circumstances you live under are consistently taking away from your life. Like there are plenty of people on the stream who are probably working the weekend, right? There are plenty of people, right, who are doing so much work that they don't have time to like really sit back and sit with themselves. Like it's bizarre. It's like what are we even talking about at this point? What are we talking about? Right? Like Contra has all the time in the world to fix her life because she posts once a year. And not only does she just post once a year, but in the time in between those things, she's living her life. She's, having her fun, having her joy, having all these kind of things. She's making a what? What was her thing on Patreon? Isn't she making like 50,000 a month? Something. It was some type of huge number when I went through and I looked at all the Patreon people she was subscribed to or that had subscribed to her and all that. Like when I did the calculation, it came out to like 50,000 a month or something along those lines. And I was just sitting here like what are you talking about, Contra? Like how many people are making that kind of money? How many people are able to take time just to spend a little bit of time with themselves? I don't know. And I get it. I understand that, leftists want to talk about things that they want to talk about, and they don't always want to address like a racial aspect or a gendered aspect or whatever. But at the same time, it's like you're not like hitting anything meaningful at the end of it all. And so it's like what is this all really for? I don't know. It's just not sitting right with me. And it's the reason why I just really don't mess with LeftTube. I think the only like white leftist I follow anymore is Tiffany Ferg and Nick from Peak Spots. And I know like Nick and Mexi and all those people. I have a bad habit. Like if I'm subscribed to people, I watch every single thing that they do. And so it's really easy for YouTube to like take up my whole day. So I just try to like keep people at a distance and then like watch the videos like when there's a great enough videos for me to like watch to engage with. But yeah, I like LeftTube is just not sitting right with me. It just isn't. It's just not doing what it needs to do. And I just hope that there is still enough time for us to get it together in this next like decade, half decade, to mobilize enough people to deal with their racism, deal with their aversion to having the really tough conversations. So that's all I'm going to say about that. They always blame us and say that we're attacking them, and this is the reason why leftists never win when we call them out. And that's the other thing. It's like so many leftists, right? Here's the thing, right? Black, indigenous, fat, queer, right? The people at the margins of a white supremacist capitalist patriarchy have always been the people who have fought and have been instrumental in dismantling all of the kinds of structures and systems that are built around that foundationally keep us locked in these cycles. So when these types of creators call the prominent white leftist creators out, like, it's not an attack, right? Like, yeah, sometimes, leftists can come in and be a little bit, nasty. Sure, I can admit that. But usually that critique is coming from a place of people on the periphery recognizing that, hey, like the content you're producing is not enough. It's not where it needs to be. So yeah, and it's like, and then we're always the demographic, like Black, queer, indigenous, fat, people, disabled people, right? We're always the people who are then like, where all these like large white audiences will come and like attack at, and it's like, okay, like, yeah. And then I had something else I wanted to say. Oh, that's the other thing. I think we need to have the conversation that a lot of the reason why Hassan, Vosh, Contra, even like up and coming white leftist YouTubers are so popular is because people have not dealt with their white supremacy and anti-blackness, right? Like they look at these people who are attractive meaning they are, right? If we're thinking about like desirability politics, right? They are closer to the kinds of able-bodied, Anglo-Saxon features, right? Like they're closer to those things. And so people view what they have to say as more legitimate than people who sit at the margins. And it's just really bizarre. There was even a point where if you watch Professor Flower, she pulled up a video talking about the Vosh and Black nationalism thing. I will not be speaking about Black nationalism. I don't know enough, but from what I've heard, it's not the same thing as Black separationism. So, and Vosh conflates the two. But anyways, Kat Black, had essentially said that like she would rather, talk to Candace Owens than she would Vosh. And it's like, right. And then people were vilifying Kat Black for that. And I'm like, do y'all realize like the reason that she does that the reason why she would say that is because the way you all show up in these discourses, like you all act a fool, you all treat people really, really awful, and you look at the people who sit at the margins as like not worthy of your time. You have no issues calling Black people and even their wrong beliefs dumb, like, which even that is a callback to eugenics in this country. Like it just, yeah, I don't know. It's just not going good. It's just not, and then it's like I look at a lot of these leftist content creators, right? And then I look at the commentary, left-leaning commentary channels. Then I look at the left-leaning commentary channels who kind of stay in touch with LeftTube, right? And then it's like, because a lot of these white left tubers, girl, same. Sorry, people are messaging me on Twitter. Because they don't have the kind of range to have the conversations that they're trying to have, that nonsense gets put on, ends up reproducing itself to these like left-leaning commentary channels who aren't like deeply in the leftist space. And then they end up saying stuff that right? Like it's one of the reasons I had to call out like Smokey Glow and all that kind of stuff, like call out. But the reason I like talked about Smokey Glow in my uncritical nature, uncritical environment, uncritical nature of YouTube commentary, whatever that video was, right? It's like you're talking about accountability, but then it's like y'all don't even understand what accountability is, because the Black abolitionists who are trying to, help you see beyond that, you're not even fully listening to, and you're just kind of like saying whatever. That's another thing. It's like, why aren't leftists talking about abolition? Like, I don't see ContraPoints talking about abolition. I don't see Hassan really talking about abolition. I don't see any prominent white leftist YouTubers talking about abolition. Right? Even though abolition is like central, honestly, to leftist movements. Like moving beyond the systems and structures and figuring out how we reorientate society so we don't fall back into reaching for these same kind of structures that uphold capitalism, like white supremacy, like the carceral state, like all these kind of things. Like, where is that conversation? Where's that dialogue? Nowhere. Nowhere. It's so frustrating. Right? And then I get onto my channel and it's like I make my videos and it's like it's like I don't even, and I think that's why I've also had like a block with my videos. It's like sometimes I don't even want to make these videos because it's so blatantly obvious. Like it's like if y'all were just doing the reading to begin with, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. Like, and that's really what it comes down to. It's just a bunch of people, especially with white leftists, not staying up to date, not consistently learning. And it's like but that, like, that's the, like, if we're going to come on here and make commentary, like, it is incumbent upon us to do that, right? To do the reading, to do the things that other people, other, low wage workers and that kind of stuff may not have time to do, and put it into a format that they can consume and go, right? Like that's honestly the real difference between many. Yeah. Right. It's like the benchmark for leftist content creators is like, are you not racist? And people just say yes, even though we've consistently seen that like they'll say and do racist things. And it's like, but I'm not racist. I'm not racist. It's like the minimum should be like, are you stepping into the scene? Like, and I saw a comment that was really, really like, I really liked. I need to screenshot more. I do. But the comment basically said that, like, I think it was on Reddit. I'm all over the internet. Like, this is why I always know like what's happening, because I spend too much time on the internet. I think the fear of missing out, it's not even the fear of missing out. I think missing out's a good thing, because I don't need to be in all of these conversations. But I am, at the same time, I kind of do, because like we need to get our shit together because we don't have that much time. Anyways, but yeah, like acknowledgement of human rights shouldn't be the minimum, right? Like so many people are starting from a place of jumping into leftist content creation and then doing the reading, right? And that's what somebody had said on Reddit, instead of doing the reading and then jumping into leftist content creation. And it's like, you can tell the difference between, right? Like, if you watch For Harriet, right, the difference between For Harriet and the difference between, like, and the idea she puts forward and the analysis that she has in comparison to like some of these other white leftist content creators, it's very noticeable. And it's because she started from a place of consistently doing the reading. She reads every single day. She has a video about that on her channel, right? Like, Kim has a video about that on her channel, right? Like, it's just so blatantly obvious that like the starting point for a lot of leftist creators on YouTube is not like deep reading. It's just like, oh, this makes sense to me. I'm going to watch a couple of videos and hope that I have enough stamina into me to make a critique. And it's like, I almost got hit by my water bottle. Also, I hope the mic quality is good. I went live yesterday. Nobody came on because you guys know I always go live at like the worst times ever, and then like whatever. But I ended it and I played it back, and I was like, oh, this kind of sounds like this is really good. So I hope the audio quality is given what needed to be given. Brr. Okay. Anyways, but yeah. Is there anything else y'all want to say? Is there any new conversation you want to say? I know I went on a whole tangent, but like, oh, it was a 50-minute tangent. But like, I've just been watching so many like leftist like videos today and like critique. I was basically watching yesterday night like just a bunch of leftists like critiquing back and forth, and it's like, I was sitting here like, okay, like one of you clearly is in the wrong here and the other isn't. Like, we're having this huge long debate instead of y'all just going to go read the book. Like, I don't know. What else can we talk about? Someone's playing music downstairs and they're playing Doja Cat, Need to Know. So if you hear me sing Need to Know, that's why. Yeah. Oh, whoa, whoa. Okay, I'm not going to sing because I know y'all will leave. Oh, we absolutely can talk about the Ahmaud Arbery trial. Okay. Sorry, I have to like separate things because I know I'm like still thinking about the Kyle Rittenhouse and then I'm thinking about Ahmaud Arbery. Let me like set those things. So one, obviously, justice was not delivered. You know that's my stance if I'm as an abolitionist. But I am happy that the mom of Ahmaud Arbery does get to see something, right? So I'm not gonna try to take away from that. And also, is it the prosecution? I don't know. Whoever was like speaking badly on Ahmaud Arbery, that one white woman who was on here, he had dirty toenails. Baby, you have dirty toenails. The blatant racism that was. This is why I don't watch trials. I can't do it because if I like have to hear white people try to use like the non-hygienicness or use like some other kinds of like weird racialized shit to like demean people, I can't do it. But yeah, I'm happy that the mom got something, but like it did not stop these white men. Like, these white men are probably still white supremacists. They still probably believe they were in the right. Like, they still will go on to reproduce ideas of nonsense. Like, it's just so disturbing to me. It's like, and everyone's cheering that this is justice, and I'm like, justice for what? Because as soon as the trial verdict came out, I then went on to like the conservative Twitter girlies, and I was like, I was just stunned because all of the conservative girlies, all of these people making every single like excuse in the book and trying to justify all these, it was like nothing is changing. Like people are not like getting into like it's disturbing. It's disturbing. Like yeah, these men got put into jail, but for a lot of people, it just like reinforced this idea that like what these men did was right. And it's like, and I understand that, you know, Twitter does not have the whole population, and even the people who speak on Twitter are a smaller percentage of actual Twitter users. But at the same time, it's like this is not an insignificant amount of people. Like way too many people felt really comfortable saying all types of nonsense. That lady was crazy. Also, the racist defense attorney talking about Black Panthers for the presidency. Didn't they get like kicked off of the step, or didn't they get like dragged off of the steps? I think I saw a Twitter video of that. Like the pastors were standing out front of the building, and then like they were getting dragged by the police people, officers. It just, yeah, I don't know. I just don't even have like words truly at this point. And it's like, you know, and then I'm looking at like other Black people on Twitter, and it's like obviously everyone's emotions are valid, but like so many Black people are like, this is justice. And I'm like, but it isn't, because tomorrow you or I or like anyone we know and love could be gunned down. And what are the chances that that makes the news? What are the chances that that becomes like the fact that people are even getting killed in the first place, that people feel so emboldened in this in the first place, means we are not in a just society. Like we're not in a place where we're good. And like, is it justice to then send people to jail after they've done harm? Like, to me, in my head, justice is this shit doesn't even happen in the first place. To me, this is justice means that people don't even have an inclination of trying to do something this awful in the first place. Like, I don't feel a sense of justice because, okay, we had to have a whole trial of people trying to, you know, justify if what these men did was right. It wasn't right in any way, shape, or form. It wasn't even up for discussion. But the fact that it was means that we're not in a just society. We're not doing things for out of the name of justice. Like what? Like this is just the system sacrificing 3 white men so that we don't ever have to have the conversation of the ideologies that permeate this culture that kill Black people every single day. Right? And the invisible shit that kills Black people every single day. I'm looking at poor medical care. I'm looking at the, you know, the way that Black houses are disproportionately put next to, you know, factories and next to cattle ranches where all the manure and shit is spraying on them and pesticides. Like it just, honestly, a lot of comments on these video clips are Russian or disinformation bots, and I believe it too. But also, like those different disinformation bots, all that kind of stuff, is also like really reflective of how people feel. Like, as much as I want to say, like, yeah, this is spam and bots, at the same part, like, I know conservative people who would use some of the same argumentation. That lady, that one lady who lost her damn mind in that courtroom trying to talk about his toenails and X, Y, and Z, like they would use that same defense in real life. So it's like, okay, yeah, they're bots, but people also feel very emboldened to just use any and everything to like vilify Black and brown bodies. It's like disturbing doesn't even begin to cover it. Like, I'm really not trying to cry, but yeah, it just, I don't, Then we can talk about Kyle Rittenhouse while we're here as well. And I don't even really know what to say. First of all, Kyle Rittenhouse saying he's a BLM supporter, and then watching all the conservatives on Twitter get all like all up in a fucking tizzy. I was screaming. I'm like, first of all, this is how I know the conservatives don't do any type of reading, have poor critical thinking and analytic skills. Because can you not see that the reason he's saying that is so that he is not put in a vulnerable position when he comes in contact with Black people? Do you not understand that? Like, I'm so confused why the conservatives are getting so freaking mad on Twitter, as if he isn't saying that to save his own ass. Like all of your other Republican candidates that you vote for do the same thing. Like all like the Republican Party, I don't even know, the right wingers, the conservative, at this point, like they're jumbled together. They're jumbled together because maybe he meant blue lives. No, he meant to say Black Lives Matter. He really did. like he was really trying to save himself, and I was like, you can't save yourself. Also, for Rittenhouse, all of the white people who were on Twitter going, well, he shot and killed white people. Why are y'all talking about white supremacy if it's white people? This is how I know y'all don't read shit. This is how I know the conservatives don't read shit. Because if you understand how white supremacy works, if you understand how systems of whiteness protect people who remain in proximity to whiteness, while pushing white people who choose to decolonize and push away from those systems, if you understand how that works and how that ends up making other white people vulnerable, then you wouldn't be saying, see, oh, why is this hair like, then you wouldn't be saying that. You wouldn't be saying that. And it's so funny to me how all the All Lives Matter people didn't show up, because it's like, and this is exactly what we're saying. Like, y'all don't care about all lives. You only care about the white lives that bring you in closer proximity to white supremacy and maintaining the kind of stratified society that we live in. Like, you don't care about white lives. Like, it's just so bizarre to me. And like everybody under the moon, first of all, when they were talking about the people, right, they didn't even mention the race of the people really all that much at all in the trial, from what I'm hearing from people who actually watched it. And I think that was very intentional, because like, then if they brought that up, you would actually have to like have the conversation of, oh, like, do y'all actually care about the white people that you say that you care about? Like, no. But then two, it's like all the All Lives Matter people don't care, because it was never about protecting white power. And it's like, it's also bizarre to me how white people don't even realize that not all white people were considered white at one point in time. Like when white immigrants came to this country in the early 1920s, and they were subject to all the eugenicist testing and all that kind of stuff, and IQ differences and all that kind of stuff, right? White Anglo-Saxons were stratifying what it meant to be a white person, right? And so it wasn't until white immigrants gave up their culture and their proximity to, their European heritage that was not involved with white Anglo-Saxon, conceptions of whiteness, that they were able to gain power and leave Black and POC people behind, right? Like, it's bizarre. It's like, it's so weird to me that white people don't even see how like their whiteness isn't as stable as they think it is. Like, they view their whiteness through the lens of like, this is just about my skin color, but it's not. It's about the history of how whiteness is socially constructed. I feel like it's a double. Okay, I can agree with that. Yeah, I can agree with that. Obviously, and Kyle Rittenhouse has had a long history of posting stuff and supported police. So like, we know that he thinks that Blue Lives Matter is like the movement to be like. So I'm not even gonna like. I just got a new leave-in conditioner. Sorry. My hair is soft. Purr. But yeah, it's just bizarre. We just live in a bizarre time with bizarre people doing bizarre things. And it's really weird because we had all of last year, every single thing that happened in relation to ICE, in relation to white supremacy, in relation to the global vaccine apartheid, right? Like all of these things were being discussed ad nauseum in detail, really being laid out for people. And it's so weird that like nobody learned anything. And it's like, it's disturbing. I'm like, how did we have all of these activists doing all this organizing, posting all these resources, getting everybody to like see all the ways in which things intersect to create the reality around us? And yet everybody just kind of like went, oh, a year later. Like, do y'all want to go back to normal so bad? Do people really want to go to back to normal so bad? Like, I guess, but it's like, I don't understand how you could try to get back to normal when the literal foundations of this country were exposed in such a way that you can't really go back from that. Like, you can't really like pretend you didn't see it. I don't know. Any more comments, any more thoughts that people want to share? Please leave them down below. Because I don't want to keep just harping on the same points. I'm sure y'all want to hear other things as well. Or if there's anything I missed about the last two things I talked about, feel free to like bring up something. But yeah. Honestly, it's weird how many activists see the Capitol riot as a joke and not if it's really like. So I have mixed thoughts. Like, on one hand, like the way white people feel emboldened to go riot at the Capitol is serious, but on the other hand, it's like they don't have really like a lot of these white people don't actually have like anything they're fighting for, right? Like their whole entire movement is based off of being an antithesis to the movements that are established and have been established for centuries towards creating a better world. So it's like really the only things that they can do is show up and just do nonsense. And it's like, so I understand why some activists may see that as like okay, but also like it isn't but also like it's not a joke because it's like white people are feeling way too emboldened about things that they should not be feeling emboldened to do. Like it's just oh Lord. Let me see. What else do I want to talk about? Let's see. Yeah, but that's really it. I think unless y'all have something else you want to bring up, we might end up wrapping this up because obviously y'all have lives and I don't want to keep y'all here forever. And obviously there's a lot of stuff I need to flesh out in my mind before I make my next video. But yeah, it's just like I'm looking around me and it's like, the people last year who had an understanding, right? I'm not talking about leftist people. I'm talking about just like your everyday normie people right, who had an understanding about how systems and structures conspire to create the world around us, now in 2021, a year later, all of a sudden forgot all of that. And it's like, and it's like I look at these leftist spaces and the kind of cultures that the kind of culture they're cultivating, and I'm like, maybe we become numb to these demonstrations. It's scary how you're right, at the Capitol is not enough. I think we have, like, and I think we've become numb to them because we're not all on the same page, right? Like, I don't think everybody needs to be out at a demonstration, right? I've not gone to a demonstration. I don't know if I ever will, because, listen, you know, I have no issues confronting authority and all that kind of stuff, but like the way people are disappearing, like I love my life. I do. I do. I love my life. I love my family. Like I will confront power and the safety of my own home. But yeah, maybe we are getting numb to it because it's like there are demonstrations consistently happening all the time, but it's like because we're not unified in the understandings we need to have in order for these demonstrations to actually be like well driven enough to foundationally change this country, it's like we're just not getting to the place where we need to be. We're really not. The Wisconsin car killer. Child, let me go look this up. Let me see. Brooks had been charged on November 5th with obstructing officer, battery, reckless endangerment, disorderly conduct. Sirens, do you know why he did this? Or is there like any indication? I don't want to be like, okay, well, maybe the Guardian will tell you. Oh, a black. Okay. Because I read his name and I was like, it sounds like a name a black person would have. Which is stereotypical, but you know, there are certain names that you see more commonly in black communities. Oh, it's this guy? Is it him? Was that the person, Sirens? Escape from cops or was great. Yes, okay. Maybe. I need to look into this more then. But of course the actually I did see that. I did see that on Twitter where the conservatives were basically calling him a black supremacist and then they're jumping to all these conclusions and I was like, and they were like, yeah, see, See what y'all say? You say that the Black Lives Matter people are so like peaceful, but look, they're running through. Yes, I did see that. Well, I'll see if I talk about it. I'll see. Because sometimes I just, the other thing, being somebody who has spent a lot of time thinking about like gore capitalism and the way that like capitalism incentivizes us to talk about these horrific situations, it's like I I'm trying my best not to, I don't want to say not bring attention, but like I don't want to continue that cycle of talking about gore and awful shit in capitalism. I'll think about it. Did you watch the full video where he ran over the teen girls? I think no. Okay, let me just pull this up. Let's see. It's gonna let me watch it. Maybe.
I was injured in a car wreck, but I knew what to do. So
I cannot stand advertisements. Who are you marketing to? Like most people are so sick and tired of the marketing. So like I'm confused as to why you're still marketing towards me.
In the middle of the marching band, a red Ford plows through the festivities, mowing down dozens. The songs replaced by screaming.
Oh my God!
A community parade marking the holiday season. Among the performers, dozens of young girls from a local dance team.
Oh.
From celebration to horror and confusion, parents and spectators rushing to help the injured, checking for signs of life. As others searched for their loved ones.
I need to take a deep breath.
Walkershaw's annual holiday parade had been underway for
That's a lot. He like really, I'll put that in my list of things to potentially talk about. Let me type it into my notes app. I don't know if it was the graphic video, but I definitely saw a bunch of people getting hit by the car. So is there like something more graphic, or is that like what you mean by graphic? Let me type this into my notes. Okay. Okay. So yeah, that's a lot. Yeah. I'm going to have to read up more on that. But if they're saying that it was him trying to escape from the cops, or like because he had like some type of mental illness or something like that, that could be a whole video about how like our inability to actually deal with things without major repercussions and all that kind of stuff leads to a lot of gore in our society. That could be a whole thing of its own. He ran over his baby mother, I'm pretty sure. Oh my God. Like I genuinely think like we're reaching this stage in capitalism. Like I don't even think it's late stage. I think it's like end stage at this point, where it's like everybody is like losing their critical thinking skills. They're losing their mental like stability. Like it just like, because every single day I'm just looking around me and I'm like, are people okay? Are people okay? Because like this is not adding up. Like Okay. Well, I think with all that being said, I'll give another minute for anybody who wants to talk about something else. And if we don't have anything, then I'm going to head off. Um, I need to do some reading. I need to type some things. I should check if. Let me check this real quick. Okay. I don't have any of that work to do today. But yeah. But I'm really happy I'm back because I really missed you guys and I really miss talking to y'all and being able to like put things together. I don't know. I've just missed so much. Like I feel like when I make these videos consistently, when I get on lives, all that kind of stuff, like it helps keep me on my toes so that I'm not like I don't know. I took a break from really like thinking about a lot of leftist content and that kind of stuff. And I just kind of like went MIA on all this and like as much as of a good break that kind of was for me, I also realized that like when it came time for me to have like more difficult conversations, I just was not on my A game. And I don't like that. So I really like appreciate this channel and appreciate y'all who are on here and all the conversations we have and even if we like agree or disagree with each other, it just like I know we're always coming from a place of like actually wanting to create really strong community of of deeply thoughtful people, and it makes a lot. It makes a lot. It means a lot. So I love you guys. Stay safe, please. Also, there's new variants. I just got my booster shot yesterday of the COVID vaccine. So if you have not gotten it yet, if you're 18 or over, I think you can get a vaccine if you a booster vaccine if you want. So just take care of your health, take care of your time, and just take care of yourself because this world it's just a lot. I'll see you guys later. I'm glad you all enjoyed the streams and I'm glad you all love um being a part of this community. Are you interested in any new games? I don't really play video games. So is that what you mean? Video games? I don't know, because you could mean more games. Ugh, not me being a mess. But I don't really play video games. I don't really do any of that kind of stuff. So but if I would play a game, it would probably be like Pokemon because like I don't know. That was my childhood. We played Pokemon and what was that? Bakugan. That was the kind of stuff we did, and like Star Wars games. So if I was interested in a game, that's what I would be interested in. But anyways, with all that, yeah, I've been talking for too long, and my lips are so dry. I'm sorry, I keep licking them. It's so embarrassing. But with all that being said, I'll catch you guys in my next video. Bye.